Opposition slams federal government over Electoral Act amendment. Lakurawa terrorists kill 34 in Kebbi communities. Federal government seals Plateau mining site after 37 deaths. On the foreign scene, UN probe finds evidence of genocide in El Fasher and Darfur. Good evening and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Chiamaka Mwafo. On politics, African Democratic Congress ADC accused the ruling All Progressives Congress APC of undermining Nigeria's democracy following the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill by the National Assembly. ADC spokesperson Bolaji Abdullahi warned that the ruling party's actions could threaten democratic norms. In a post on X, Abdullahi alleged that despite having almost all state governors under its control, APC remained reluctant to allow genuinely free and fair elections. Also, People's Democratic Party (PDP) described the amendment of the Electoral Act by the National Assembly as a huge betrayal of Nigerians. In a statement by National Publicity Secretary of PDP, Inni Mamobong, the party said, "The anti-democratic stance of the Senate and the sudden somersault by House of Representatives on the amendment of the Electoral Act 2022, specifically on the mandatory electronic transmission of election results from the polling units, was an act of treachery against the Nigerian electorate." The Cookers Center, Yaga Africa and a coalition of civil society organizations have criticized President Bola Tinubu for assenting to the Electoral Act 2026, alleging that the process lacked transparency and could weaken Nigeria's democratic framework. The coalition made its position known during a press briefing in Abuja held in collaboration with the International Press Center, Center for Media and Society, TAF Africa, Nigerian Women Trust Fund, and Elect Her. Speaking on behalf of the Alliance, founder and CEO of TAF Africa, Jake Epeles, said although civil society recognizes the constitutional powers of the President and the National Assembly, the speed of passage and what he described as limited stakeholder consultation raised serious concerns. A key issue highlighted was the 50 million Naira administrative fee for registering new political parties. Under Section 75 of Section 6 of the Act, the coalition argued that the provision could shut out emerging and youth-driven political movements from participating in Nigeria's political space. Now, joining us via Zoom to discuss on the Electoral Act amendments is public affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Good evening, Mr. Ojo. Okay. You can see the reactions from the situation that took place yesterday with the president assenting to the amendment bill of the elections. What's your take on these reactions from the ADC, PDP, and these civil society organizations?
Surprised at those reactions. It's normal in every democratic society. We can't all sleep and face the same direction. There are those who will support and there are those who against. Don't forget that this is not the first attempt at reviewing our electoral laws. It's been there since 2002. We had another in 2006. We have one in 2010. We have had one in 2022 before the current one. And at each of those levels, you have had this disparate differences in opinion about what has changed, what has not changed. But I think the big elephant in the room is implementation. Fidelity to implementation remains very key. In every democratic system, you don't get all that you want. You negotiate. And thus far, I think
Mr. Ojo? Mr. Ojo?
Yeah.
Oh, we
Yes,
lost you for a
can you
little
hear
bit
me?
there. Please continue.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but please continue.
So what I'm saying is, invariably is that this is not it's not a perfect exercise. It's not a perfect exercise that has been delivered by the National Assembly, but nonetheless we have to live with it. The president has assented, and he who lives to fight, he who lives to fight another day, or how is this said? We know that there will still be another round of amendments in future. Whatever could not be accommodated at this point will be taken there. But I think we have gained some incremental successes. Opposition will naturally lampoon, they will criticize, they will critique, but it is for the government in power to make sure that whatever laws they have put in will ensure credible, peaceful, and inclusive elections.
Okay, so you mentioned amendments. Now, peradventure, there's pushback, maybe protests and all the likes that come with it, about this ascension. Do you think it's possible for another amendment of the bill to take place again and the president having to assent to it before the elections? Mr.
Well, I wouldn't think that we will go that route. But what I know is that in time past, um, judiciary has intervened and certain
Go ahead, please.
I said in previous times we have had judicial intervention where certain sections of the law had been invalidated. And so the civil society and those who have issues with the 2026 Act can approach the court to say these sections or that sections should be invalidated. And that has happened before with 2006 Electoral Act. Some sections of that law was invalidated by the judiciary. However, it still does not mean that in future there will not be any other amendment. Sincerely speaking, procedurally, we should have had constitutional alteration before this Electoral Act. Unfortunately, the National Assembly has kept the
Thank you, Mr. Ojo. Unfortunately, we'll have to cut short that conversation due to the network situation. Moving on to other stories, the budget of Nigeria's electoral empire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has risen sharply from about 355 billion naira in 2023 to a proposed 1.04 trillion naira for the 2026-2027 election cycle. The Commission says the increase is driven by economic realities, technological expansion, and the high cost of conducting credible elections across the country. Against this backdrop, Trust TV's Noel Sampson speaks with electoral observers, politicians, and ordinary Nigerians to get their views on the development. Here's more.
The National Electoral Commission, INEC, attributes the rising cost of elections to inflation and the weakening naira, which has significantly increased the prices of largely imported electoral materials. The Commission plans to spend about 209 billion naira on technology upgrades, including improvements to BVAS and IRF systems, following challenges recorded during the 2023 general elections. Operational expenses are projected to exceed 379 billion naira, covering nationwide logistics such as transportation of materials and personnel across Nigeria's vast terrain. Personnel costs have also increased due to the new minimum wage and higher allowances for ad hoc staff, including members of the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC). In addition, INEC has embarked on a 171 billion naira for 2026 activities. This includes governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun states, Federal Capital Territory Council polls, continuous voter registration, and the rehabilitation of about 860 damaged facilities, as well as the replacement of destroyed equipment. Overall, Nigeria's 2023 general elections cost about $815 million for a population roughly 238 million people. In comparison, Pakistan's 2024 elections reportedly cost about $164 million despite having a larger population. This comparison raises a critical question. Are elections in Nigeria becoming too expensive?
There is the fundamental question. Can we reduce the cost of elections? Can we significantly bring down the cost of elections? The answer is yes, we can. So the argument of people who feel our election is too expensive goes beyond the economic indicators. Their argument also goes to the point about value for money. Even these amounts that are being spent, is their value for money in terms of what that expensive or the expenses, what they eventually deliver?
It's always inflated beyond reasonable limits. So this is not peculiar to INEC. INEC is existing under a system that it's largely fraudulent. Anything done manually, where manual operations are heavy, cost is always heavy. Time is also more.
Trust TV also took to the streets of Abuja to hear directly from voters on what they think about INEC's proposed budget.
It is very much, and with that, INEC has been bought already, so we won't get any credible election. You can see what plays out yesterday. If they want to be straight, we know there's a staircase and there's lifts, but which one is better? The lifts. But why should we say have alternative? That means we are not sure of ourselves, because we still have to put loophole where this surely must go wrong as Nigerians.
I don't think spending 1 trillion naira is bad. It will be a relative thing. If the results of the elections are deemed to be free and fair, if we eventually do have a successful election where the people's votes count and the choice of leaders are actually the leaders that emerge actually reflects the choice of the people, then it's fine.
Critics argue that the rising election budget reflects excessive logistics spending and inefficiencies. However, INEC maintains that Nigerians' deep trust deficit requires the deployment of extensive and often costly safeguards to guarantee credible and transparent elections. Wow, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
In another dramatic shift, less than 48 hours to Saturday's Federal Capital Territory FCT Area Council elections, the People's Democratic Party PDP chairmanship candidate for the Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC, Zadna Dantani, has withdrawn from the race to support the All Progressives Congress APC candidate Christopher Zaka Mekalangu. Dantani, who said his decision to step down was aftermath of interventions by the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, ordered that he has also submitted a letter of withdrawal to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
I'm the candidate of the upcoming election in the People's Democratic Party, but I want to sincerely appreciate everyone who supported us around, and by the grace of God, we are doing it not because of our personal interests. And I'm standing to tell my people in Abuja Municipal Area Council that as a candidate who was standing for this election, have today agreed, based on the intervention of the Honorable Minister of FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, as a man, as our leader in the party and the leader in FCT, he have also called my attention to let us know that this is an election that is the election that we are into, we are not for war. And this is a brotherhood election. And including my stakeholders, I've consulted widely. And by the grace of God, we have agree that this election we are no longer going to contest with our brother, Honorable Christopher Zakame Kalangu.
Over in Rivers State, the House of Assembly has suspended impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Ngozi Odu. The decision was taken during Thursday's plenary amid mounting legal and political hurdles, with lawmakers opting to await the outcome of ongoing court cases and consultations. The impeachment process began in January 2026, when 26 lawmakers signed a notice alleging 7 counts of gross misconduct against Fubara under Section 188 of the Constitution. The allegations presented by Majority Leader Major Jack during a sitting presided over by Speaker Martin Zamwewele included demolition of the Assembly complex, extra budgetary spending, withholding funds meant for the Assembly Service Commission, and disobedience of a Supreme Court ruling on legislative financial autonomy. However, the process stalled after the Rivers State Chief Judge, Simeon Chibuzo Amadi, declined to constitute the mandatory 7-member investigative panel, citing the subsisting interim injunction issued by the Rivers State High Court. At least 34 people were reportedly killed on Wednesday in a series of coordinated attacks by suspected Lakurawa militants across communities in Ariwa local government area in Kebbi State. The attacks, which occurred from morning through the afternoon, targeted multiple villages, leaving families devastated and forcing residents to flee for safety. Security analyst Buckenstein described the assaults as one of the deadliest single-day incidents in recent months in the area. The hardest hit community was Mamunu, where 16 people were killed. 5 youths were killed in Awashaka, 3 residents in Masama, and 2 people each in some other communities. By nightfall, residents across the wider Kangiwa axis remained gripped by fear amid concerns of further attacks. At least 5 people have been killed and 4 others injured following a reprisal attack by bandits in Zamfara State. Security sources say the violence was triggered after a bandit kingpin reportedly sent a resident to retrieve a phone battery. The resident was allegedly attacked during the errand and the battery seized, raising suspicion of foul play. The kingpin was said to have shot and killed the resident in response. Angered by the killing, members of the local community reportedly retaliated and killed the kingpin, sparking further violence that left several people dead and others injured. Security operatives are said to be monitoring the situation to prevent further escalation. So staying with security matters, gunmen have abducted and killed the traditional ruler Kehinde Jacob Faludun, the Alagamo of Agama community in Akure North local government area of Ondo State. Police authorities confirmed that 6 armed men stormed the monarch's residence on Wednesday and took him away. His death was later confirmed. The spokesperson of the Ondo State Police Command said a team of detectives has been deployed to the area to strengthen security and track down those responsible for the killing. Residents were urged to remain calm and provide useful information to assist ongoing investigations. Moving on from that, Abuja is known as one of Nigeria's most organized and well-planned cities. But step into some of its biggest markets and the picture changes. Many are now overcrowded, poorly maintained, and struggling with basic services. Amina Ibrahim tells us more in this report.
Abuja's markets were built to be structured and orderly. Today, many are packed beyond capacity. Walkways are blocked by makeshift stalls. Drainages are clogged. Waste piles in corners. Rapid growth is a major factor as many people move into the city. Market facilities are under strain. Water supply, electricity, sewage systems are not designed for the population.
Government is aware that the population of FCT is increasing by day. And they are providing facilities and infrastructure to make up for that increment. So you don't need to stay in a particular market that's already filled, or you go and make shop where they're not supposed to be. That's the difference. When you go to other markets, not managed by professionals, you see people can just, and sometimes they bring in sentiment. You see a woman saying that she needs to feed her family, and therefore this is why she needs to do a makeshift shop here.
Traders say limited shop space and low patronage push many to display goods along roadside and open space to attract customers. The result is congestion that slow movement of people and goods, and in some cases block access routes.
All these women, you see them selling outside is because they feel like market sells in this place. Today is market day, so market sell here more than inside the market.
Some people with a strong head, if not so, we can be there near like this. But to some cannot be great. That's why we be closing to road. It's not our happiness for the closing for road. When one person closing to road, the second one can be closing.
This causes fire. People are cook in the shop. Or maybe anything electric problem. That's what they causes all this fire. So I believe it's them, you people, that will talk to them, warn them, or if they will have something, fire school. Yes.
I want the government to come in. If there is a way, they will expand the roads so that there will be free passage for both vehicle and people. And again, they should try and clear these people selling by the roads, because this even when the road is very tiny or very tight and people again selling again, it doesn't encourage safety at all. So they need to clear people, make more people inside the market, or create a shop for them where they can easily sell. But this is not good at all. Even you are even struggling to pass when you are on foot, let alone the vehicle. So if something like that, fire or accident or a car fail break.
Urban planners warn that the mix of residential buildings, shops, and informal structures without proper layouts create safety risks. Poor waste disposal increase chances of disease outbreak. Tight space and illegal extensions means that if a fire breaks out, it can spread quickly. For many residents and traders, the concern is, without stricter enforcement and better planning, Abuja's markets may continue to drift further from the order they were meant to reflect. Amina Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Nigerian Armed Forces has reportedly carried out fresh arrests over an alleged plot to overthrow President Bola Tinubu's administration. Among those detained is Major H. Yusuf of the Nigerian Army, a member of the 57 Regular Corps who recently completed his senior course at the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji. He's been held alongside other suspects in connection with what authorities have described as a coup plot, although details of the alleged conspiracy have not been made public. Investigations into the matter have reportedly been ongoing since 2025, with no formal trial initiated so far. Meanwhile, families of the detained officers have raised concerns over what they describe as deliberate delay tactics in the handling of the case. They claim the accused have been held in custody for nearly 5 months without access to relatives or legal counsel, a situation they argue undermines due process and the right to a fair hearing. Funding constraints are threatening justice sector reforms and critical infrastructure delivery in Nigeria. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, says despite recording key reforms, persistent non-release and inadequate allocation of funds are slowing progress. At the same time, the Minister of Interior has revealed zero capital releases for 2 fiscal years. Here's more. Appearing before the House Committee on Justice in Abuja, Lateef Fagbemi outlined achievements under the Federal Ministry of Justice. He cited reforms in criminal justice administration, strengthened counter-terrorism initiatives, progress toward exiting the Financial Action Task Force grey list, and improved asset recovery programs. Fagbemi explained that while overhead performance reached 82% within 10 months, capital implementation stood at just 12% after a non-cash backed warrant of 869.6 million naira was issued out of 6.74 billion naira allocated. He added that no funds have been released for 2025 capital projects.
I'm here to report that we have prepared a brief which has been circulated detailing the performance of the ministry's 2025 budget, as well as providing the basis for the budget proposal for 2026, which is aimed at deepening ongoing justice sector reforms.
He presented a proposed 2026 budget estimate of 23.68 billion naira, covering personal overhead and capital expenditure. Committee Chairman Olumide Oshoba assured the lawmakers would scrutinize the proposal and strengthen oversight to ensure accountability and adequate funding.
We expect the ministry and its agencies to provide comprehensive and justified proposals detailing financial needs aligned with the strategic objectives for 2026. Candid performance reports offering an honest appraisal of 2025 achievements, challenges, and lessons learned. Forward-looking strategic initiatives outlining innovative programs to address contemporary legal challenges. This committee is resolute in its duty.
In a related development, Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo disclosed that the ministry recorded 0% capital budget release for both 2024 and 2025. Speaking during a budget defense before a joint committee of the Senate and House of Representatives, Tunji-Ojo said the lack of releases stalled project execution and infrastructure development across agencies. Despite the setback, he maintained that the ministry remains financially disciplined, consistently remitting internally generated revenue into the Consolidated Revenue Fund.
So I want to assure you, Daddy, that we will go back. We will have a standard operating procedure, an SOP, that will be able to manage this process, such that when we come back here, anybody who wants something will know this is the process I need to take. And once that process is there, then benchmarking becomes easy.
Senate Committee Chairman Adams Oshomole described the non-release of approved funds as a major setback to institutional performance and service delivery.
We are very proud of what we are doing in the Ministry of Interior. All the innovations introduced on the parts of the airports and the house of community. I can see a couple of things that are changing in attitude.
As deliberations continue on the 2026 budget, lawmakers say addressing funding gaps will be critical to sustaining justice reforms and strengthening national institutions. The federal government has sealed a mining site in Zurakwa as a local government area of Plateau State, following a gas poisoning incident that claimed at least 37 lives and left 26 others hospitalized. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, ordered the immediate closure of areas under mining license 11810, operated by Solid Unit Nigeria Limited and owned by Abdullah Idan China. According to a statement by the minister's spokesperson, Shegu Tomori, preliminary findings indicate that the victims, mostly young artisanal miners aged 20 to 35, inhaled lethal gases, including carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide and lead oxide in a poorly ventilated underground pit at the abandoned lead site. The statement added that the company had reportedly ceded the pit to local miners following community demands for empowerment. Alake later paid a condolence visit to Governor Caleb Mutfwang, expressing solidarity with the people of Wase over what he described as an irreparable loss. Across Maiduguri, residents usually experience intense heat and bright sunshine between February and May. But in recent days, the weather has taken a different turn, with a hazy and dusty atmosphere enveloping the metropolis. While residents say such conditions have occurred in previous years, many insist this one feels unusual. Trust TV's Beatrice Kurutsi tells us more.
For the past 3 days, Maiduguri has witnessed a hazy and dusty atmosphere. The city appears less busy with fewer people on the streets. Some residents are seen wearing face masks as they go about their daily activities. Residents who spoke to Trust TV expressed mixed reactions, sharing their surprise at the sudden change in weather and how it is affecting their daily routines. This weather came unexpectedly because we had already experienced the cold season. The hazy dust makes it difficult to recognize someone even when they are close to you. I couldn't go out because it was too dusty, and this affected my work today. We have seen this before, but not at this time of the year. We just pray for the best. It is a bit of relief for those observing the Ramadan fast.
Before, by this time, is heat and sun, but we thank God with that this year, cool day and dust.
So you like and pass the heat?
I like and pass heat very well, because heat of Maiduguri is not good.
While some residents say the cooler atmosphere may lessen the intensity of Ramadan fast, others predict it could signal an early start to the rainy season. We usually experience extreme heat before the rainy season begins. That is what determines whether rainfall will come early or not. I am okay with this weather because it will not make the Ramadan fast too difficult for us. Beatrice Kurutsi, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. A return from the break. EFCC invites Jigar Savings and Loans officials over financial misconduct. Please just stay with us. The news continues. Welcome back. It's still News Hour on Trust TV. Now a recap of our top stories. We told you that opposition slams federal government over Electoral Act amendment. Also told you that Lakrawa terrorists killed 34 in Kebbi communities. Two more stories. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Kano Zonal Office, has invited senior officials of Jigar Savings and Loans, including members of its board of directors, over alleged financial misconduct. The officials, led by the bank's managing director, Bambandi Isa Gumel, reportedly spent several hours at the EFCC's office on the first day of Ramadan, responding to investigators' questions. Sources say the development followed a formal invitation letter from the EFCC's Kano office, requesting the managing director to appear alongside selected management staff at about 1 p.m. on Wednesday, February 18, 2026. The anti-graft agency also demanded detailed account statements of the bank from January 1, 2024 to date. While some of the officials were later allowed to leave, others were reportedly still in custody. Christians in Kaduna joined millions around the world to mark Ash Wednesday, the beginning of the Lenten season. Beyond the traditional observance of prayer and fasting, worshippers used the solemn occasion to call for unity and an end to insecurity in the country. The report.
Ash Wednesday marks the start of the 40-day Lenten season, in the Christian calendar, a period of reflection, repentance, and spiritual renewal. In his homily, Reverend Father Michael Umatu urged Nigerians to embrace love, forgiveness, and unity, especially in the face of growing insecurity across the nation.
It is no news that we are facing a lot of challenges, especially on insurgency, and I call on Christians to use this opportunity and make use of it very well, especially to pray to God and present especially our country Nigeria to God, because based on our own human strength and power, we cannot be able to defeat insurgency, but trusting in the mercy of God, that God is going to help us in this season of Lent. And so we continue to pray and offer our prayers, especially in this season of Lent, that through our fasting and our praying, that God will give us the grace and God will subdue all that we face as a country in Nigeria.
Worshippers say this year's observance carries deeper meaning as communities continue to grapple with security challenges.
Keep on committing the country unto God, especially this period. And as it is, both Christians and Muslims are being killed. And again, both Christians and Muslims start their fasting today. So, all of us should raise this country unto God, continue to pray to Him. And our government should do something about it, because prayers without good work can't help us. Our government should also help us and take care of it, because they can do it. If the willpower is there, they can do it. But we keep on praying to God that God will touch their hearts so that allow us to live in peace.
It's not only that it is during this period, but we'll try to abstain ourselves from anything that will demarcate us from the will of God. We'll try to follow the way of Christ this period, abstain ourselves from so many things that cause us to sin and cause God to be annoyed with us.
This is not the first time the Christian and Muslim are celebrating. I think the other time, some years back, we celebrated, I think, Easter or Christmas together. So, like this period of Lent for the Catholics, even the Muslim, we are encouraged to do more of almsgiving. We are encouraged to reach out to our neighbors. We are encouraged to reach out to people that are vulnerable in the society.
Kaduna State has in recent years faced security concerns, making calls for unity particularly urgent. Religious leaders emphasized that Lent is not only a personal spiritual journey, but also a time for national reflection, urging citizens and leaders alike to commit to justice, dialogue, and peaceful coexistence. As the Lenten season begins, many hope that prayers offered will translate into concrete steps toward unity and lasting peace in the country. Christian faithful will continue to fasting, prayer, and acts of charity throughout the Lenten season, which will culminate in Easter celebrations. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State says he will transform the agricultural sector through a comprehensive agricultural policy roadmap designed to revamp the entire value chain from production to processing and marketing. He stated this at the flagging off of 2025-2026 dry season farming at Saloma Village, Akuyam District in Miso local government area. Trust TV's Adamu Imam has more.
Governor Bala Mohammed assured the people that he will reposition agriculture for sustainable food security and economic growth, saying Akuyam District is a potential arable land for irrigation. He noted that the initiative is strategically positioned to strengthen food security, create jobs, and stimulate rural development.
That directly benefit farmers. This is not rhetoric, it is an investment and it is the truth. We are always believing in saying the truth and not deluding and deceiving people. We want tangible and measurable achievements. We are also leveraging strategic partnerships. Both is participating in the World Bank supported Special Agro Industrial Processing Zone The livestock productivity and resilience support for the helpless and the federal government's National Agricultural Growth Scheme, Agro Pocket Acts AP. Through OCP Africa, that is based in Morocco, we have conducted soil fertility mapping to guide fertilizer use scientifically.
Earlier, the State Commissioner for Agriculture, Elias Gital, and other notable stakeholders assure farmers of the timely distribution of farm inputs, emphasizing government's readiness to ensure a smooth and productive dry season farming cycle.
Ensuring that extension agents are present in communities, guiding farmers on improved practices, climate-smart agriculture, pest management, and efficient input utilization. We are also expanding farmers in schools and demonstration programs to ensure that knowledge is practical and measurable. Our women are increasingly integrated into value chains, especially in processing and aggregation.
We also call on our people to continue to support government at all levels, remain law-abiding, and actively participate in initiatives and promote peace, unity, and sustainable development. In conclusion, on behalf of the chairman, the council, and the good people of this area, I once again express our profound appreciation for influencing the halted position of the Deputy National Vice Chairman of our great party, the PDP.
Other traditional rulers who graced the occasion appreciated the governor for his commitment in transforming the state through agriculture. Highlights of the event was the symbolic distribution of farm implements to irrigation farmers across the state. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
From Bauchi, we go to Adamawa State, where Governor Modu Fintiri has announced plans to replace and reinstall electrification equipment vandalized and stolen by criminals in parts of Demsa local government area. Governor Fintiri made the disclosure during his ongoing statewide engagement tour in Demsa, assuring residents that his administration will not allow criminal activities to deprive rural communities of essential infrastructure. Trust TV's Gibson Sodigo reports.
On arrival at Demsa local government headquarters, Governor Ahmed Fintiri commissioned a rehabilitated government lodge that had previously been vandalized by criminals. From there, the governor proceeded to the palace of the traditional ruler of the Bata chiefdom, where he informed the monarch of the purpose of his visit to the area. He later moved to the main venue to engage with stakeholders and members of the electorate in Demsa. Governor Fintiri stated that all damaged and stolen electrical installations previously serving communities in the area will be fully restored. He emphasized that access to electricity remains a key component of his administration's rural development agenda. He said, "I urge you to take ownership of government projects by safeguarding public facilities provided for your benefit. I want you to know that protecting public infrastructure is a shared responsibility between government and citizens." Stakeholders in Demsa commended the governor for what they described as leadership that aligns words with action. They highlighted several projects executed in the area, including road construction, the establishment of a cottage hospital to improve health care delivery, rural electrification projects, construction of model schools, and employment opportunities for youth.
We know all over the world bad leadership has created conflicts, it has created war, it has created underdevelopment, it has created lack of confidence in leadership. But today, everybody know in Adamawa State that we have a leader that has changed that narrative.
Governor Fintiri, it is very clear that governance and the project Adamawa First must be placed above every other sentiment. And I must say, it's an exciting moment. The place is electrified, and I must admit, we've never had it this good.
The event also featured the presentation of gifts to the governor by the Christian Association of Nigeria, the Muslim Council, NYSC core members, Fulani representatives, and other community groups. Gibson Soadgo, Trust TV News, Yola.
Well, still staying in the northeast, over in Gombe State, Governor Muhammadu Yahaya of the state has hosted his Yobe State counterpart, Mai Malabuni, alongside the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Political and Other Matters, Ibrahim Kabiru Masari, for the commissioning of major projects and the groundbreaking of newly created local council development areas. The projects cut across infrastructure, education and grassroots governance. Hassan Lawan Kuli reports.
It was a day of landmark events in Gombe State as Governor Muhammadu Yahaya received Governor Mai Malabuni and Presidential aide Ibrahim Kabir Masari for the commissioning of strategic projects across Nafada and Funakai local government areas. Among the projects commissioned by Governor Mai Mala were the new Nafada Local Government Secretariat, the Nafada Force Fund Bridge, and a mega non-formal learning center, also known as Angaya School. Meanwhile, Ibrahim Kabir Masari commissioned the 5.5-kilometer Kwana Rugaji to Almakashi Road, which is 4 to Galgadu, linking Funakai in Gombe State to neighboring communities in Yobe State. According to the government, the project are expected to ease transportation, boost trade and stimulate economic activities in the area.
Already a report has been submitted to His Excellency the Executive Governor of Gombe State through the Deputy Governor of Gombe State on the modalities, the asset sharing, the staffing, the workforce, the salary and everything has been sorted out. That was why it took us about 6 months from the date that this LCDS was created. These LCDS were created in 25th August 2025. And when you look at it, it's already 6 months. That's to tell you that we have undergone a rigorous process of finding the possible and the best way that the two will operate concurrently without any problem.
The highlight of the visit was the foundation laying ceremony for the Funakai South LCDA in Tongo and the Nafada South LCDA in Birim Fulani. Governor Yahaya explained that the creation of 13 local council development areas is aimed at bringing governance closer to the grassroots, with plans for them to eventually become full-fledged local government areas. He noted that the development model draws inspiration from Lagos State and commended Bola Tinubu for pioneering a similar initiative during his tenure as governor of Lagos State.
Wanda ya fara kawo tsari na yin LCDA a yana gwamna shine shugaban kasa na yanzu President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The first person to create LCDS was Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he was the governor of Lagos State, and the state developed significantly. Nigerians later voted him as a president, while I served as his younger political associate as governor of Gombe State. Governor Buni, while commissioning the project, commended Governor Yahaya for what he described as bold and strategic initiatives aimed at strengthening local governance and accelerating development. Presidential aide Ibrahim Kabir Masari also praised the Gombe State government for aligning its development blueprint with the federal government's renewed hope agenda. The Emir of Funakai and the Emir of Nafada received the visiting dignitaries and conferred traditional titles on Governor Buni and Ibrahim Masari, a recognition of their contributions to development. The commissioning and groundbreaking ceremonies mark another milestone in Gombe State drive to expand infrastructure, strengthen grassroots governance, and promote socio-economic growth. Hassan Lawan Koli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
We're going to business where the Osun State Command of the National Security and Civil Defense Corps NSCDC has arrested 2 men over alleged involvement in electricity meter tampering and illegal power vending. The suspects, identified as Babatunde, aged 46, and Akin, aged 40, were apprehended following an investigation into suspected fraudulent activities linked to a prepaid meter belonging to a customer of the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, IBEDC. According to a statement issued on Wednesday by the command spokesperson, Kehinde Adeleke, the arrest followed a formal complaint lodged by the affected electricity consumer. The NSCDC explained that the customer raised the alarm after his prepaid meter reportedly developed a fault that prevented him from loading recharge units. Providing further details, the state commandant, Igbalawole Shotoyi, said preliminary findings pointed to deliberate interference with the device. He stated that the two suspects allegedly worked together to manipulate the prepaid meter in question. News just reaching us now is that officials of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, have raided the Abuja residence of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State. This follows his arrest after being granted bail by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Daily Trust had reported how ICPC officials picked up El-Rufai after the former governor was granted bail by the EFCC on Wednesday. Now, the former governor had honored the invitation of the EFCC on Monday. Now to the foreign scene. A United Nations investigation into the fall of El Fasher in Western Sudan has found the acts committed during its prolonged siege and eventual capture may amount to genocide. The inquiry examined events surrounding the takeover by the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, which seized the city in late October after an 18-month blockade that cut off food, medical supplies and humanitarian aid. According to the UN fact-finding mission, tactics used during the siege followed by widespread violence after the city fell indicate a deliberate campaign against specific ethnic communities. Documented abuses included killings, sexual violence, torture, and forced disappearances, and the systematic denial of humanitarian relief. The report states that members of the Zagawa and Fur ethnic groups were primarily targeted, raising concerns that the acts were carried out with intent to destroy those communities in whole or in part. It's time for sports with Adini Ajishafe.
Team Nigerian Athletics have stepped up preparations for the forthcoming Commonwealth Games as their 6-week first phase campaign program enter its second week at Stephen Keshi Stadium in Asaba, Delta State. Head coach of Athletics Federation of Nigeria, Solomon Aliyu, has expressed satisfaction with the progress made so far in the first phase of preparations for Commonwealth Games. Focus has shifted from general condition to specific drills as sprinters, jumpers, throwers and hurdlers intensify routines. Commonwealth Games present an opportunity for young athletes to announce themselves on the big stage, while experienced stars are determined to improve on previous performances and restore Nigeria's dominance in track and field. With 4 more weeks remaining in the first phase, expectations are high that Team Nigerian Athletics will emerge sharper, stronger and fully prepared to compete for medals when the Commonwealth Games begin. And in football, Super Falcons head coach Justin Madugu has listed captain Rashida Ajibade, goalkeeper Chiamaka Adozie and forward Esther Okoronkwo Chiwendu Hezuo in the 25 Super Falcons roster for the upcoming friendly matches against Indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon in Yaoundé. Canada-based midfielder Ngozi Okeogene makes a return to the squad after a couple of years. Forward Gift Monday also returned after missing out at the last WAFCON triumph in Morocco. England-based goalkeeper Comfort Erabo has been called upon for the first time, as Mexico-based defender Chidima Okeke also make a return to the 10-time African champions. Tanzania-based midfielder Precious Christopher earned invitation for the first time, while defenders Osinachi Ohale, Michel Alozie, Oluwatosin Dimei, Ashley Plumter, midfielders Alimatu Ayinde, Christy Uchebe, Deborah Abiodun and Jennifer Echegini as forward Risola Babajide and Folashade Jamilusi retain their spot. The first match against the Lionesses will hold on 28 February. The second friendly match comes up on 3rd March. The final tournament of the 13 Women Africa Cup of Nations has been confirmed for the Kingdom of Morocco from 17th till 3rd April, with all 4 semi-finalists qualifying directly for 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup finals in Brazil. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And that's it for News Hour tonight on Trust TV. For more of our news programs, documentaries, to follow our social media platforms and our YouTube live stream. I am Chiamaka Mwafo, unbiased production team. Thank you for joining us tonight.